You guys want to hear something crazy? Okay, check this out. What's up, everybody? It's me, Marquise, aka Dr. Door. Now, here's something funny, okay? Real quick. Let me tell you what ADHD does to you. One sec. While I adjust some things here. There we go. Now, I went to go clean my glasses off before the show, because they're always foggy. I go do so, and then the baby wakes up. So I go hug the baby. Hi. She's, hi. So cute. And she's wearing one of my socks, of course, because she likes to put on my socks instead of hers. And so I'm hugging her. We're having a great moment, a morning moment. And I go and I run, and I say, okay, I gotta get going. And I have no idea where I put my glasses. None. Not the slightest clue as to where I just placed the glasses that I literally just had in my hands. Where are they? So we're looking for them. And we're moving things around, and you know how I'm going in my head and reimagining what I did when I first came in to try to see if I can visualize the memory of that moment where I maybe placed my glasses here or there, or maybe there. What did I do with them? Where are they? And then I just give up, and there they are. And so I stop, and I look at the unicorn, and I say, never mind. And how dare she? She says, they were in your pocket, weren't they? What's up, everybody? If you haven't already, please like the video if you're on YouTube. Follow me if you're on Twitch. Today we're going to be talking about Starfield. It's going to all be about Starfield. If you don't like Starfield, you haven't even seen it yet, except for a couple of people on YouTube, but we're going to check some cool stuff out because I've watched reviews, and I'm here to tell you that Starfield is absolutely awesome. And I haven't even played it yet. I get to play it later today, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be live again for the big stream, and we're going to be playing Starfield. Yes, we can talk about aliens, of course. But first, we will be playing Starfield. Every day that I can possibly play it. You know me, I get caught up with the, things. But we will be playing Starfield. We will be. The reviews are in, ladies and gentlemen, and the game is awesome. Fantastic are words I've heard. Stunning. Massive. The best Bethesda game ever. The storyline is the best storyline ever. It is Oblivion in space. This isn't a game you can measure in hours. It's a game to be measured in years. And this is without the mods. They haven't even... This is before launch, ladies and gentlemen. People that got the review codes. And I'm going to show you what they have to say. Because I am so excited to play this freaking game tonight. We're gonna play it tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Yes, I will be watching some tips and tricks. Yes, I will be watching reviews live today. Yes, we will be looking at the good and, of course, the detractors, or the AKA, if you will, bad. But let me tell you something right now. It's been said by the reviewers who spent 60 to 70 hours minimum, who, by the way, say they haven't. There was a reviewer that said, I can't even judge a game yet with 70 hours of gameplay. Why? Because he hasn't even scratched the surface of the game. There is a massive amount of content, meaningful content, story-driven content. It is an RPG like never before. The gunplay is legit. The ballistics are punchy. The music, the audio, the sound is dynamic. It's phenomenal. The space combat is, from what I hear. It is nothing like No Man's Sky. Think Destiny and Cyberpunk, and you put them together, and you got with the traditional Bethesda storytelling. Okay, so you got Destiny, you got Cyberpunk, and then you got freaking Fallout 4, or as they say, actually Oblivion. Boom. And then you make that better. That's what Starfield is. You don't believe me? We're going to listen to some people who've reviewed it, who've had the game in their hands and been playing it for hours. I am so freaking pumped. All right, I'm going to share Lieutenant Lightbeer with you guys and gals, and we're going to take a look and see what he has to say about the game. Yeah, you guys and gals are going to love this. If you, like I said, if you haven't already, please follow. We're going to be doing Starfield, talking about everything from aliens to science fiction to philosophy. Yes, we do philosophical conversations here, and we will be doing that while playing Starfield. But let's listen. Spoiler alert. Again, if you're just coming in, you must realize we will be watching reviews. We will be watching tips and tricks, because I will be ready for this game tonight at 8 p.m. to play it live here. So if you want to see it, Twitch, check your boy out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my nerd is coming out. You just judge me, all right? I want you to. I do. Let's go.
The Starfield review day, and hot damn, it's been a tumultuous past few months. Big game, big hype, even bigger drama, but we are here. And I, for one, am grateful that the wait is finally over. So let's fling open the vault doors and step out into the great universe beyond. Thank you to the crew over at Bethesda. I was given access to the game a full 2 weeks early, and I've tried to make good use of my time with Starfield. Now, after logging nearly 60 hours and hitting all parts of this game, there are two facts that have been made abundantly clear to me. First is that Starfield is massive, not only in the sheer size of the universe itself, but in meaningful content available to players. This is a game that will measure time played in months, not hours. And the second is that over those 60 hours, I saw a big fat 0 on the bug scoreboard, confirming that this is the smoothest, most polished Bethesda launch product we've ever seen. Welcome back to the channel. It's Lieutenant Buzz Lightbeer, and here it is, my spoiler-free Starfield early review. And as you can probably tell from my voice, the gaming experience on tap was awesome. It's Oblivion in space with a different style of world building and exploration. Now, there are a few items that are not up to snuff, and my critiques will point those out to you, but there's a lot packed into my review, and I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are greatly appreciated. Of course, chapters are ready and available for an easy viewing experience, and away we go. My PC rig is admittedly a bit overkill, making use of an AMD Threadripper Pro 3975WX, 3090 GPU, and 256 gigs of RAM, but it is purpose-built to handle huge 4K render jobs, and in its free time does stunt work for Cyberdyne systems. Using a mix of ultra and high settings, Starfield will generate FPS in the 50s in heavily populated areas on my setup and bounce up to the 60s when I hit outer space. Varied lighting effects, shadows, textures for the most part, and color palette all look to be present and looking pretty good. In general, Starfield is a good-looking game that at times looks great, especially when outside the city limits. Now, once my recording software was switched off, I saw a 5 to 7 FPS bump, which was something we were alerted to in our review copy packets. And DLSS could be useful here once it is modded into the game. Now, 3 items that could be of great benefit to the settings menu are a field of view slider, frame limiter cap, and decent benchmark tool, all extremely valuable and all missing. Starfield presents an interesting dichotomy in graphical fidelity because it's capable of showcasing some highly detailed and stunning biomes, environments, and structures, but can then turn around and give you a glimpse of the old Sega Genesis cutting-edge visuals. Pop-in at medium to longer draw distances is present, and once you focus on textures that are slightly off your main sight lines, you'll see that either the game engine itself or FSR just can't do the math fast enough to give you crisp fidelity across the entire image. Bug eye syndrome does show up in larger non-essential NPC crowds, and details like realistic hair physics and skin tone and complexion are still lacking. You can definitely see the improvements over Fallout 4 or Skyrim, and when you are planetside or out in space, Starfield can produce some amazingly beautiful visuals. Just expect it to scale back the minute you touch down in a populated starport. Gunplay is fast-paced and tight. Not Battlefield type, but dramatically improved over the floatiness of Fallout 4 or the general jank of Skyrim. Now, the arsenal at your disposal varies widely, and there's something here for every type of playstyle. You've got rifles with varied fire types like full auto or 3-round burst, energy weapons, grenade launchers, railguns, and even a portable mini Gatling gun. I tried a John Wick setup with a silenced handgun and shotty, which I highly recommend. There's also the option to just go only use me blades with combat knives, axes, and swords. Or for the ultimate Mike Tyson punch-out enthusiast, you can turn your targets into chunky tomato soup using only your fists. And of course, the Splinter Cell stealth mode is always a popular option here. No matter which way I went, the controls overall felt tight and steady. Feedback when connecting with targets was instant, and recoil was predictable. AI gets a nod here as well, as enemy combatants no longer charge mindlessly at your position. You will see a varied mix of melee rushers, mid-range shootouts, and various explosives hurled at your position. Enemy soldiers now attempt to use cover and strafe, while heavier veteran targets feature a segmented armor bar, giving them Fallout levels of resistance, but now in a compressed display directly over their heads instead of at the very top of the screen. VATS are a thing of the past, so it's mano-a-mano as you blast your way across the universe. There's also all types of robotics hell-bent on ending your space adventures, and creatures vary from docile to extremely aggressive, with some quests ending with boss battles versus huge beasties requiring patience and a metric ton of ammo. Loot drops pretty much from anywhere, from anything, and typically the higher level target that is downed, the higher the chances of getting the best loot. Rare, epic, and legendary tiers of gear, weapons, and resources are out there, and each tier of gear will add on one additional bonus effect. Lockpicking supply caches is also very useful in this regard and can be upgraded as part of your skill tree. Consumables are very much that X factor, the extra flavoring in this recipe of disaster, and there's everything here from extra melee damage to damage resistance to increased movement speeds. Out of ammo? Get pumped up on Starfield's equivalent of Jet and Psycho. Pull out your old axe and go full Last of the Mohicans, because the clock is ticking and the universe is calling. Now, aiding in the speed of Starfield's combat is the newly added third dimension of verticality via the boost pack, both in and out of combat. You'll find yourself bringing down death from above or boosting into the fray, and the difficulty ramps up as the gravity goes down. Zero-G or near zero-G combat is intense and takes planning, but when cranked up to full throttle, combat becomes this frenetic ballet of sprinting and shooting, hurling explosives, boost packing to vantage points, popping med packs like candy, and looting down bodies mid-combat for even more supplies. It's gritty, pseudo-tactical, rewarding, and I loved every damn second of it. Until you hit the orbital boosters into space, and this was really hit or miss for me, starting off with flying your ship in space combat. I came to grips with it, but I never truly embraced it. You see, ship controls, especially using mouse and keyboard, are both floaty and lethargic. I ended up dialing back the sensitivity to near zero, just to give me some semblance of control, but it was like wrestling against Andre the Giant each and every time I entered the fray. Oftentimes, you were thrust into these 4v1 battles, or even these random legendary ship encounters, and having full mastery of your ship's controls is imperative for victory, and I just never felt comfortable with this part of Starfield. Gauging turn angles or bank angles is difficult due to the limited FOV, and there's also a mechanic of salvaging destroyed ships for ship parts, which are essentially health kits used for hull repairs, and locking onto these things and bringing them into your inventory while in full-on combat is next to impossible. Both of these items could get better with adjustments, but as it stands, this was my least favorite part of the entire game. Outside of combat, boarding your spacecraft and blasting off into space is a thrill each and every time. Hearing the thrusters with that overdriven bassy note of distortion hitting you in the center of your chest like a woozer set on level 10 just never gets old. Once a system is discovered and unlocked, as long as it's within grav drive distance, you can dial it up, bold space, and be there in a matter of seconds. Planets and moons can be scanned from space for a general idea of point of interest locations and resources, and these scan results can be further enhanced through your skill trees. Now, technically, you can fly from planet to planet within a system, but it will take you a bit of time, even using your ship's limited boost reserves, or you can use the fast travel system, at which time you get a brief animation and you arrive at your destination a few seconds later. Landing on planets gives you the option to choose an area of interest, or you can just randomly pick a zone and put her down there. It's your call, with full planet exploration available, but not continuous circumnavigation. Now, once planetside, the sky's the limits for climates and weather conditions. Burning radiation, freezing cold, raging dust storms out of nowhere, even day and night cycles, you're going to be seeing it all. And if you are exposed to these conditions, even wearing a full-on protective spacesuit, that can lead to you getting afflictions such as hypothermia, radiation poisoning, and a whole lot more. And here's where having the good sense to stock up on your space brews and potions really pays off. Flora and fauna can be farmed and scanned for cataloging, random structures can be searched for loot, larger areas could be inhabited, either by friendlies or the other sort, and depending on your talents chosen here when first creating your character, you could end up getting jumped by bounty hunters, which also happens in space. Running around planetside makes you appreciate your oxygen bar, essentially your stamina meter, and increasing that for later in the game is not a bad idea. And here's where you also get to take full advantage of those booster packs. Options abound here, and Starfield gives you back as much as you give. Through the robust character creator, allowing for hours of customization, down to the literal arch of your eyebrows and optional scarring, to the position of tattoos and your character's neck shape, there's enough detail here to make a 3-hour-long breakdown video and still not cover it all. Same with the ship customization and the ship creator system. You see, eventually, you're going to outgrow your aging starter spacecraft and need to stretch your interstellar wings to better and further destinations. And here is where you can either purchase a prefab ship or go full handy-manny and take an existing ship frame and create your own. In my near 60 hours of logged playtime, I tried out both, and they each have pros and cons. You see, purchasing a prefab unit is simple. No fuss, no muss, but there is a significant bump in the price tag for one of these units because you're paying for the convenience factor. Modifying an existing frame or going full ground-up construction is both rewarding and allows for some unique designs, but forces you to learn the snap map functionality of building something from scratch, requiring the patience of a saint as you go through tons of trial and error. Now, in the end, I spent about 10 minutes creating my character and 2 hours sculpting my buzzkiller bird of prey ship, complete with blacked out paint job and more firepower than the damn Death Star. Character background skills and traits allow you to dip your toes in the proverbial options ocean as you progress out of the starting tutorial. Background selections are offered in preset packages like Cyber Runner, Ronin, and Space Scoundrel, and each background includes 3 skills already with the first prerequisite unlocked. After that, 3 more challenge levels will need to be met and points spent to reach mastery level on a skill. 4 points total spent if the skill is not part of your background. Skill upgrades are immediately felt. They're weighty and produce instant results, especially when tied to damage output. Grinding out rank up points takes time. A lot of time. Think oblivion time, and you've arrived at a fitting analogy. But reaching mastery level on a skill allows for all-in build approaches, taking specific skill tracks to the extreme. Weapon mods and crafting can also have dramatic positive effects on your character's damage and resistances, requiring players to loot specific items and or spend points into skills to achieve enough knowledge to allow the crafting to take place. Starfield throws a multitude of options at players, like customizations for your suit and weapons, outpost unlocks, general consumables and medication crafting, and a lot more. Now luckily the game gives you the option to tag a specific mod or crafting item for needed requirements, and it will show the player an icon when a specific item needed for a mod or crafting project is in a loot pile. And one item that is completely missing, at least it was for me and my review copy, was an in-game store. So no microtransactions that I can see, no loot boxes, no weapon skins, no spacesuit cosmetics, other than those contained in the pre-order bundles. Now I suppose it could be run through the Creation Club, but this is great to see Bethesda not installing this into the live game. Combat, ships, exploration, a never-ending space setting, and a balls-to-the-wall skill and customization scheme is all for naught if the arena to showcase those mechanics is not well thought out. And in this regard, Bethesda has hit a towering home run with its overall writing and mission design. Now, the entire main storyline is off limits to discussion in this early review because it's way too spoiler heavy, but trust me, you'll enjoy it. And this is where you're going to encounter this unique use of the new Game Plus mechanic. But with all that being said, faction quest lines are still fair game. And 10 to 15 hour faction story arcs are the norm in Starfield. This is where you get to go toe-to-toe with the likes of the Terror Morphs. You get to see mech graveyards and live out your darkest space pirate showdown fantasies. Each and every time you finish a task off your checklist, another, more dangerous, more daring requirement takes its place. Now the writing is original, gritty, immersive, and in many regards outshines even the main storyline. This is Bethesda at its best, telling stories. Even a harmless side activity took me almost an hour and a half, laughing at traditional fetch me quests, and saw me answering at a stress call on Earth, meeting with homesteaders in the far reaches of the galaxy, restoring communication satellites, taking on swaths of space pirate ships, and eventually culminating with me just going full Leonidas on a space station full of baddies, and all for a quote-unquote side activity. Much of the Constellation Companions I'm going to leave for you to discover in your playthroughs, but like previous Bethesda titles, they tend to not move much of anything when in dialogue mode, although the voice work is top shelf, allowing you to forgive their mannequin-like appearance. Now, players are met with an overwhelming amount of dialogue options from empathy to apathy. Being rude is met with rudeness. Attempting persuasion is always an option, but requires a bit of savvy and good listening skills as you look for a crack in your target's defenses. And then there's always option C. Kill first and just forgo the questioning. One of my personal favorites, but not always the wisest choice. Sound design in Starfield is also exceptional. From the whir of aircon units to door and hatch openings to muffled discussions you can hear through walls, you get a true sense of a pressurized living environment. Likewise, weapons and combat-related zips and zaps and explosions are unique, ship booster sounds are always impressive, and all the while, Enon Zur's soundtrack sets the mood in the background, jumping between ethereal spiritual backgrounds to driving combat tracks heavy with percussion. I'm a stickler for sound design in my gaming experiences, and Starfield did nothing but impress me in this area. I personally don't like putting scores on games, as so much of this is subjective. You know, one person's delight is another person's disgust, but the positives far outweigh my small list of grievances with the game, and I would place Starfield firmly in the definitely must-buy, highly recommended gaming category. Strong pros include high levels of polish and a bug-free experience at launch, beautiful storytelling with robust and weighty quest lines, and a grounded NASA punk style that mixes the unknown with reality. Now, I have no idea how long this game's content has been estimated to take, but it feels like hundreds, maybe thousands of hours, with extra DLC slated to drop early next year. That being said, there's still work to be done here on the base game, including revamping those disconnected flying controls, adding in some much-needed QOL features, and getting some of the rough texture models dialed in. I supported Bethesda through Skyrim, Fallout 4, and then was met with the cold sting of 76. But with Starfield, they've once again stamped their name as a leader in the RPG genre, and I can't wait to see what the next questline has in store for me. And that's going to wrap it up for my early review of Starfield. Leaders, damage, and resistance.
Yeah, boy, and girl. Wow. That's just fantastic. Don't worry, we're not done yet. But listen, Fallout 76 is kind of feels like a enhanced mobile game. You know, they made it as the games as a service type thing, where essentially you log in every day, you get your rewards. There's always online events and activities throughout the month and weeks and whatever. It's essentially an upscaled mobile game. That's what I get from that. Now back to this. Listen, y'all, I cannot believe I knew that when this game launches, when they finally get the reviews out, I knew it was going to be good. I knew it. I've even heard bad reviews, which we're going to hear the other side, where they're like, yeah, it's a great game, but we just got to wait and see, because they're more skeptical. They want to wait and see how some people have had bugs. Some people have had bugs. They mentioned that they've had bugs. Some people, but they're so rare that it's whatever. But we're going to hear some of that too. And the graphical issues, obviously when a game launches, a lot of times they do patches for graphical enhancements. They pan those things out over time. I'm not even worried about that at all. It still looks beautiful. It looks massive. It is massive. There's a lot of story content. There's some issues with the facial animations. People say that they have issues with facial animations. Not Mass Effect Andromeda, bad, but still noticeable. Like they call it I forget what they call it, the bug-eyed syndrome, where some NPCs will have these. They'll look at you like they're crazy, man. Like they just snorted a line of. Well, a lot of it, too much. And so sometimes you'll see that, but the world is the biggest question that people ask is this the Bethesda I want to live in this world kind of game? And the answer to unanimously to all these people, good and bad reviews, yes. Yes, it's like you live in this universe. You live there. So, yeah, this game is gonna be huge. All right, so yes, yeah, whatever that. I never heard of that used before, but yes, yeah, sure, Moondust. So, the day one patch, who knows? Maybe they'll put a day one patch on it. I'm not sure. We'll see. But either way, this game is going to be absolutely massive. It's gonna be I haven't played it yet, but I do have the early access today at 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is my time. Let's see if I can have access to it, actually. Let's see if they'll let me let's see if I can kind of sneak in there, maybe get them a little dagnabbit. I can't, but I will say that I don't know if it will let me play the game on at 8 p.m. Eastern, because I'm getting the time frame. We're gonna have to look into this. When I go to I didn't buy it, but the premium, I have the premium edition of this, which is they say if you get the premium edition, you get the early access, which is today. But I don't know if it's only on Xbox or if it's also on PC. I know that sounds a ridiculous question, but what I'm looking at is a countdown of 5 days, 5 hours, and 56 minutes when I look at my Xbox, my PC Xbox app. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna go check to see if that's the same on my Xbox. Actually, you know what? We can do that right now. I feel bad for this man. They need to just let him go. Hold on. We're going to watch one more review. Only this time we're going to give some commentary, because I don't want to watch 17 minutes straight. Do you? If you do, let me know. Now let me check to see if I connect to my Xbox. One sec. Let's find out. Will it work? If I connect to my Xbox, the question is, will I have access to this game? Is it going to give me a different countdown? Either way, we'll still be here because I have the streaming. I can still stream the Xbox from the PC or Xbox Game Pass as well. So one way or another, we're going to be here playing this game tonight. Yeah, we are. Yeah. I'm checking, y'all. Hang tight. Hold on. Let's get this. Get this. Ladies and gentlemen. We're going to check out those 100-hour reviews as well. Yeah, I want to see if we're going to get that access. Now, are they going to do a day one patch? I don't know. Probably. But no clue. Whoa. Whoa. I forgot. I have that turned all the way up. There we go. That's more appropriate. Alright, it's being ridiculous. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, there we go. I don't know how to change the thumbnail midstream. Listen, I'm still figuring some things out with this Twitch stuff. You get it. I'll try to change it. I'll try. But for now, let's see what we can do. Yeah, for some reason my Xbox was turned off. I don't know what the heck that's about. I've never tried, but I see that Doc Disrespect always has a custom thumb. You know, I gotta start doing that. You're right. Maybe I should start. To be honest with you, I gotta start doing a lot of things. Like, I haven't even looked at like the SEO, like search engine optimization. I haven't been doing that because I don't particularly understand how it works. But I know I can figure that out, no problem. And as well as like doing things like going into my YouTube settings and really in each video really like targeting the keywords of each video. So there's a lot of things I haven't done, to be honest with you guys, that I need to do. Give me one again, good listen. Okay, everybody, I'm so sorry. I could not figure out. I had like, ironically, like 8 different issues simultaneously happening at the same time. Always. Listen, this is gonna be huge. I'm so excited for this freaking game. I mean, like, I honestly, I'm frustrated because I couldn't sleep this morning because of wanting to play this game at 8 o'clock tonight. Now, I'm seeing the 5-day wait time on my PC. Xbox isn't telling me when I can play it, but the internet is telling me that I can play it tonight at 8 p.m. If I can't play this game tonight, oh, you're gonna see another side of me. A weeping side, the soft side. And I know you guys like to see me weak and feeble, but either way, yeah, Xbox is being rude today. The Xbox app is not cooperating at all. So let's go ahead and watch the next review. Let's skip all the crap and let's watch the next review.
Hello, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show we give.
This one is, I think this one I haven't watched. I think this is the critical one, very critical. So we went to good. Now we're gonna go to the critical.
Give you some straight.
Thank you.
As they clip through.
Oh crap. Yeah, critical review.
Hello, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. It's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking Starfield. This is a big one to tackle. It's a game that's been in the works for many years from a game development studio many people love and some people have been turned off by in recent years. It's a completely new thing from them. It's not an Elder Scrolls or a Fallout sequel. It's an ambitious space exploration game with its own new worlds and lore. So after playing a review copy and spending many hours with this game, personal opinion up front here, I like Starfield. I don't know if I love it. It has a lot of flaws, and in some places doesn't quite hit the heights I was hoping it would, but real simply put, I've enjoyed my time in this game world. If you were hoping Bethesda would make an epic game that would feel nothing like what they've done in the past and be completely glitch-free and change the world, well, then you might be a bit disappointed. But if you're the type of player that was just looking for the next Skyrim...
Real quick, Lex Diaz, see, this is just you missed the good review. You literally jumped in on the critical one. If I were to weigh the amount of positive reviews, they far outweigh any critical reviews. And you got to take, if you're a true gamer, then you know that there are gonna be certain things on day one, no matter what. It's just there's no such thing as perfection on day one. It doesn't work like that. However, if you know that even, for example, Skyrim was a barren wasteland up until modders started putting massive amounts of content. And by the way, Skyrim's a great game. Even the base game is great. Or Oblivion was a massive project that, again, had the longevity of a decades-long gameplay. You have definitely got to take it. This is definitely the game to go. The Xbox sales went up by 1,000% on Amazon. And not only that, but almost unanimously, this game is phenomenal, but there are critiques, and that's what we're listening to now.
The next Fallout, and just like embracing the Bethesda gameplay and vibe like a warm blanket, then I think you'll be satisfied. Starfield is a complicated one to talk about, and I do think everyone's going to argue about it. It's going to be a divisive one. On the surface, it doesn't look very nice, it has weird NPCs, it does have bugs, and the space exploration isn't as endless and as cool as some were hoping. Like I said, it's flawed. But it's an entertaining Bethesda-style game with some charm, some great factions, beautiful music, deep side quests, weird stuff to discover, and some cool lore. It took a while, but for me, the good outweighed the bad. For you, I don't know. That's the point of this video. We're going to try and work on that. Let me explain why and break down all the stuff you can expect in the game. And just so you know, this video you see here is as spoiler-free as we could possibly do. You know, in the 100 hours or more you could spend in this game, we tried to keep most of the footage on screen here to within the first few hours, just because like there is a lot of good surprises and I think stuff worth seeing yourself for the first time. And this footage is captured on both Xbox Series X, and PC. You'll be able to tell by the frame rate. We'll talk about that all later. So in the game, you start out, you create your character, you pick some defining backstory and traits, and get going. You're a miner on some remote mining planet, and you stumble upon something that quickly gets you whisked away, conscripted into a group called Constellation. They're like a group of space explorers, where in this world, the humans are all over the galaxy and all over planets and just kind of doing the things humans do in the future. Constellation is a small group still just focused on exploration and the vast mysteries of space. And there's a good main quest here with some good characters. Sure, they look a little awkward, but there's some good voice acting from some of the main companions, and dealing with their personality quirks and life differences is fun. Some of them, especially early on, like Sam Coe, have some good charm to them. Spend some time with them. While characters may look generic on the surface, some of them might surprise you. But the actual main quest itself is interesting. Like I said, while your character is not voiced, you still seem to have some agency and choice in how things go down. And there's a good mystery to unravel that, again, I won't spoil. For me, personally, I actually just wasn't into the game for the first few hours, though. It takes a while to get its hooks into you. The opening mission is a bit bland, you don't really get that wow moment, and the first city you visit, while being really big and grand, felt a bit boring and weirdly dull. But as you work your way through the main quest line, which I suggest trying to focus on a bit, at least up until you get to the city of Neon, that's when the game really unfolds and you're more powerful, you've got a good ship, you're with a faction or so, and learn more about these worlds, and you're just kind of
I've been told that 10 hours in is when the ish hits the fan and it's a really great game. However, I wonder what he's comparing this to.
Going nuts. And one of the main things of the game, like, there's a lot of combat. As much as you are an explorer and you can talk your way out of some things, you're still gonna end up killing a lot of dudes. And thankfully, the shooting feels pretty good. Depending on your stats, sometimes enemies will be
I will be playing in third person.
a little bullet spongy, but not as bad as you'd think. Guns are loud and punchy and aggressive, and the feedback when bullets or lasers hit enemies gives you a nice proper like thwack. Melee is meh, but you can embrace some stealth. It gets a bit stronger as you level it up, and I never found myself completely 100% stealthing a location. Things would always tend to fall apart for me, but it does seem to be a semi-viable playstyle as long as you're adaptable. It's not overly RPG from numbers and stats and points and magic, more from the gameplay approaches, which I'll get to. But skill tree wise, it's kept fairly simple as well, with you spending points in one of a few categories to access some benefits, and each of those have their own multiple tiers or levels that you can dump more points into to get more out of it. So to unlock the next tier, it's not about just dumping a point though. You need to complete
Maybe I will go pistol only. I don't know. That looks like a really cool pistol. I love pistol gameplay.
like little objectives or like a checkbox challenge first. So like instead of Morrowind and Oblivion just jumping a ton of times to get better stamina, now you actually have like a checklist, like say shoot 20 bad guys to get better at pistols, or carry 75% of your carrying weight for X amount of miles to get an available upgrade to upgrade your encumbrance, which holy crap, the game is pretty ruthless with that, or maybe I'm just a hoarder. But these little objectives do get a little bit more complicated once you
I am a hoarder. You don't want to see me play Fallout because I spend more time fast traveling to dump my stuff so I can break it down it's bad.
get further down the tree. I don't know if it was like necessarily needed, but that to me is a minor nitpick. Otherwise it works and I like it. Back to combat though, what sold it for me was the weapon variety. There's a good amount, all with their own use cases and manufacturers, from kind of standard to...
Okay, real quick, the fact that there's going to be a massive variety of I'm adding the massive part, but a vast array of weapons is a huge deal on top of modifying them. I mean, come on, like space gameplay, RPG, FPS gameplay, or third person, if you will, with all those weapons and all the modding, that alone can lead to hours of just tinkering with and grinding. And testing things out and seeing what their max, what's the max output of this? Okay, let's move on. What's the max output of this weapon? Okay, let's move on. There are hours of gameplay with that alone for me.
Super.
And it's going to be hours.
Futuristic and even some surprises. There's a lot of good, satisfying choices. Then they also bring over the weapon mod crafting system from Fallout 4 with some tweaks, which I thought was a great system there and also very cool here. It makes for a pretty staggering amount of options and things to hunt for and craft and work towards. And you're getting weapons, spacesuits, out of space clothing, and lots of resources for your journey. And yeah, you can like sneak into someone's apartment or a shop and steal stuff just like any other Bethesda game, but
sandwiches.
You're usually getting the best stuff by exploring. And exploring is complicated. Unfortunately, it's a bit too weird for my liking. Too many hang-ups. There are a lot of cool planets and big cities and some towns, but there are also a bunch of randomly generated planets. Now, Bethesda was upfront about this. They set expectations about how they were randomly generated and how it works, but it doesn't feel quite right. So exploration itself is a lot of loading screens and menus. You can look at a big map, warp to a new sector, and float around and look at a planet, maybe talk to another pedestrian ship, do a few things. Then you look at the planet with your scanner, and then you can see everywhere you can really land or really what the planet has to offer. Then you click on that, and then a loading screen, and then you're landed. Then you have to click leave ship when you're landed, and then it loads you out there briefly. You don't just hop off.
If you're a gamer and you like simulations, this is not a problem. I love simulations, usually zombie survival simulating games, like, State of Decay. But even with the space games, if No Man's Sky had any gunplay, I mean, it's so lacking when it comes to the gunplay. I would be maining that game before this, but it's just essentially it's just a rock collecting game with some really pretty, like, cartoony graphics.
So do you see, there's like a lot of barriers. The presentation, the boringness of just clicking around on a map or a scanner, all really hurts the experience. It's not as smart as it comes off initially. Presenting you with fuel consumption and a bunch of numbers to seem science-y. You're really just clicking on stuff, and it's a bummer. Same goes for actually scanning stuff on the planet's surface. Not the greatest thing from a fun standpoint, but yeah, speaking of planet surfaces, from that whole planet to landing sequence I mentioned, once you're out there, if you're on a randomly generated planet, you roam around what is typically a pretty ugly biome, slowly sprinting and running out of stamina, jet boosting around, and
I have a huge suspicion that they're going to, this is probably true, I have a huge suspicion that, given that there are 1,000 planets, but that they are eventually going to improve the procedural generation, obviously. That's kind of a no-brainer. So I'm not concerned about this in the long run, but I can see this being somewhat of a noticeable thing for gameplay right now. But for me, my imagination goes wild. Even on a barren planet, I'm just so curious about what are the implications of being on a barren planet with some, like, shrubbery, for example, right here. Are they going to give us some kind of environmental, I guess, storytelling or environmental, science about why the environments are like this, why the planets are like this? Can you give me a sense of actual scientific discovery by landing on a barren planet with a specific type of life, whether it be plant life or otherwise, where I'm like, oh wow, so this, just imagine the evolutionary, development of this plant or this animal, or what's the ecosystem like? Can they do that? Because if they can do that, and you have an imagination, and you're kind of one of those people like myself, it's all going to be interesting. But if you're the kind of person that wants it to be gamey, which it sounds like the GamerX it's talking about gamey, like a gamey experience. Now the gamey experience is where you're doing stuff. You're always boom, boom, boom. It's just one after the next after the next. You're always on the run doing something at every single moment of the game, like Outriders, which is you're on a space, you're on a different planet, And Outriders is a lot of fun too, but you're on a different planet, you're running around, you're blasting stuff, you're collecting weapons, it's a looter shooter, you're doing powers. There's never a dull moment because you're constantly doing something. It's action, story, action, story, action, story, collect, upgrade, action, story. That's all it is. If you're thinking about Starfield like that, you're not thinking about Starfield the right way, because Starfield is a mix between like what it would be like if you were an actual space explorer in real life, a simulation game, and an action RPG meshed together, and it's massive. These are I just feel like this isn't a very accurate representation of what you should expect for this game, and I hope what I said makes sense, because I think it's pretty obvious that what he's talking about right now is there are moments where there isn't a lot of gaminess.
Checking out abandoned factories or caves that typically have a door to click on and load into what is like a typical Bethesda dungeon. And from there, you can usually blast your way through and get some decent loot. It doesn't always amount to too much, and it doesn't usually have anything complex, but it does mean it feels like you can kind of endlessly space dungeon run. It may not be of the highest quality, and you may see some stuff repeat. Every so often, I found myself landing on a planet and seeing something cool and walking towards it and finding something totally weird. But most of the time, to me, it felt a little dull, and I preferred focusing on like the towns and the quests and activities, because the more
He literally just gave it all away. That's called gaminess. That's what gaminess is. He doesn't like, it sounds like, he doesn't like the simulation of the simulation where you're living in this world. He just wants to play the game. He wants to skip past all the simulation. He wants to skip past all that crap. Give me the game. I want a gamey, this game. Guys and gals, that's not the kind of game that Starfield is. So again, if you like simulation games and RPGs, that's what they are. We'll talk aliens in a second.
you get into those, the better it gets. And holy shit, they give you a lot. Like from expeditions where you're just looking for stuff to getting into some messes with the faction quests and their own individual activities within, to random long-running quests you'll get from like a shop or some guy, to job postings. There's a staggering amount of stuff to do in this game. Oh, and even piracy, which does remind me I should mention the ship stuff. So when you're in orbit, you can engage with other ships, like chat with them or get into combat. Combat is fairly simple, but pretty good. It gets the job done. You can actually kind of do VATS from Fallout. Like get a good lock on the ship and it zooms into them in slow motion, and then you can choose to target, say, their shield generator first.
Oh, that's cool.
And then go for their engine.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that, but I wish they had VATS in gunplay.
With a different weapon, something like that. How capable your ship actually is.
Sorry, VATS. In case you don't know, in Fallout 4 and Fallout 4 specifically was my favorite version of VATS. I would min-max my character. Okay, if you don't know what min-max is, it's where you like the bare minimum of any unrelated stat to your specific build. So let's say that I wanted to be a stealth guy. I would like only invest points to max out the types of skills that enhance my stealthiness and completely ignore anything else until way later in the game. That's min-maxing. I min-maxed my VAT system, and it worked. It was so much. That's true. That for me, that was the best gameplay. That was the best Fallout 4 gameplay. Min-maxing for VATS. So you'd be in a gunfight, right? And there'd be like 5 guys. And if you're pretty well established with the VAT system, you're min-maxing that, then you can essentially freeze time, target a specific body part. There would be a certain percentage of accuracy that you would expect. So it's hit or miss, 80% to 20, or 0 actually, 100% to 0%. Usually it's 90 to 0. And then you would be able to fire against each person in slow motion by targeting them. If you have a good VAT system, you could have like 5 or 6 different shots to headshots. So you can headshot 5 different characters in slow motion, along with reloading and some damage mitigation. It's just a really cool system. They took that away from the gunplay in Starfield. Now I get it. This is not Fallout, but man, it's a Bethesda game. That would have been so much fun to play. Anyway.
Is though depends on how you build it, and then you can cycle power to engines to speed up, maybe disperse a bit of power to weapons to have more power behind them, or put it all towards your grav drive so that you can like light speed warp jump out of there quicker. The flying around isn't super complicated. Again, like you're just in kind of a big space arena separated by loading screens, which sucks, but hey, it's fun to blow up other ships. Still, for me, I gotta emphasize the bigger thrills were on the ground. I had a lot of fun tackling missions and quests in different ways and stumbling through and making dumb choices and seeing the game react. Like, sometimes I felt really slick and smooth. Other times, the complete opposite of what I expected to happen happened. And sometimes I just went rash and went in guns blazing. And all of it was entertaining and sometimes surprisingly hilarious. Now, speaking of hilarious, I guess it's worth mentioning the buggy nature of the game. No, Starfield is not immune from the typical Bethesda stuff you've seen in their other games. I mean, it feels like a Bethesda game you've seen before, from gameplay to just like the feel, the vibe of it all. But that also boils down to weird, silly, buggy things that'll happen in the game. Like I'll walk into my ship and see a crewmate hovering 2 feet above the ground, or clipping through a kitchen table. Now, during a conversation with an NPC, another
Dang, boy, that's a gravity platform.
Character will walk into frame and the camera will wig out as they clip through them and do something funny. People will disappear in a blink. Like, if you've seen it in a previous game of theirs, you might see it here. Now, you might not see it as much, like as often, but that goofiness is still there. Does it break the game? No. Haven't really had any catastrophic issues other than getting stuck on a chair and having to reload my save. But it can break immersion a bit. It's not a disaster, but you'll see some weird stuff occasionally. It's worth, some people are more sensitive to this stuff, so it's always worth bringing up. All that stuff does, however, contribute to making the game feel a bit old in spots. Some towns are like rich with detail and have a surprisingly dense amount of NPCs on screen, but other areas like the planet terrain or even some sections of, say, New Atlantis just look flat and
Hey Lex, you might want to check out the Discord and see if you can find that alternative to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you know what I'm saying.
drab and weird, especially at a lot of times of day, and that's on PC and Xbox versions of the game. It's just not the cleanest or newest looking game, and it's a shame considering the massive scope of everything. The town density, like I said, is great oftentimes, and when you're in space, the planets and the effects and the asteroids look pretty great. Or say if you're on a moon looking up at like Saturn and it's casting a light, that stuff is awesome. But the rest of it really leaves a lot to be desired. And as you probably know, frame rate is 30 frames per second on console, and in our experience, for the most part, it was a very solid 30. On the PC side, of course, everybody's machine is different, and who knows how it'll be at launch. We've already had some patches and some updates and stuff like that, but we haven't had many issues after messing around with some of the settings. You know, not the biggest amount of options there, but we've been able to play it fine on our end. Now, switching back to another positive note, I did allude to all the stuff the game lets you do, like weapon mod crafting, but also researching to make special crafting components, as well as cooking recipes, suit mods, which acts kind of like the weapon mod system. You can also build outposts on planets, kind of like Fallout, and set that up to generate resources. And yeah, it can all be a lot, but the best thing I found myself spending time and money on was the shipbuilding. To me, it absolutely delivers. Building is easy to grasp and fun.
You want to hear something ironic? In case you didn't see it, the previous reviewer from Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear has the exact opposite experience as GamerX does. Like, literally. They do not like the shipbuilding. They do not like the space combat. They love the entire game. They love the taking off of the loading of the taking off and stuff in the planets. They love the NPCs and the dialogue and the RPG mechanics, and they love everything that this guy, the GamerX, doesn't like. Lieutenant Lightyear literally loves it. This is so interesting to see this dynamic here, this dichotomy between the two of them, vastly different. By the way, this review perspective is far more rare than what Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, his perspective is. It's almost entirely positive. And even he has to admit, this GamerX speaker now, even he admits it's a great game.
Fun to slowly get more and more crazy with it. You know, parts snap together. The game very clearly and intelligently shows you what can and cannot work, and you're doing it all in real time. There's a lot of options too, like small ships, space trucks for hauling, a bigger battleship, and I just loved adding onto my ship and then seeing it on the landing pad in real time and going, whoa, and then going in the ship and seeing how the interior changed. Like, it's all satisfying and addictive. I got hooked on this like I did building settlements in Fallout 4, and it just improved the whole experience. Even if I was dissatisfied with a lot of the space exploration, seeing the ship I made in action, landing on planets, docked at a city, was cool as hell. And I found myself saving up for a new engine or a new type of weapon to mount on it all the time. These were the main points we wanted to hit today, really. There's a lot of game here, and despite spending a lot of time with it, we haven't seen every inch of it. There's both stuff we couldn't spoil here, and also just a lot of secrets to uncover, stuff that we haven't even come across yet. Starfield is a flawed game with some aspects that just don't quite reach the heights they should, but it has plenty of merits, and the more time you put into it, the more it shows you its, flavors. We're probably going to be talking about this one for a while. It is a Bethesda game I was expecting, really, even more so than I thought. If you like Bethesda games, even with this one's significant shortcomings, you might like this one. Now, it didn't do everything I wanted it to do, but I like the characters, the world, the civilizations, cool science and guns and ships. And as much as I have my complaints, I'm looking forward to continue playing it, and I pretty much recommend it. Obviously, depending on the type of player you are and your expectations for this game. Hopefully, I laid it out enough for you so you get where I'm coming
100% recommended, even by the skeptical.
From. This is a before you buy. You know how this goes by now, right? I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now I want to hear yours. What do you think about Starfield? Just let us know. Are you someone who's jumping into that early access where you pay more for the game? Are you waiting for it to come to Game Pass? And also let us know if you're planning to play on PC or Steam. Are you going to be making mods for the game? Are you just skipping the game? Whoever you are, let's talk Starfield down in the comments. There's a lot to talk about with this one, and like I said, stuff we can't spoil and stuff we haven't even found yet. So let us know in the comments. Try and keep it spoiler free, but if this video helped you out at all, informed you, maybe just seeing the gameplay was nice, anything like that, clicking the like button helps us. Thank you. But I always make it a point to say this with the big before you buy videos. Thank you for watching. If you've been sticking with us for so long, I put out the first before you buy video 8 years ago at this point with Batman Arkham Knight, and we're still here today, just kind of yapping about games. So thank you. You guys know where to find me on social media, but if you're new to Gamer
7.67 million subscribers. Well, I don't get this ratio here. Over 7 million has 7.5 million subscribers and only 17,000 likes. How much engagement is there? How many comments? I don't know. 3,000. That's crazy. What are people? Yeah, that's wild. But either way, because it's like that with me too. I don't have a like anywhere. I don't even want to talk about where I'm at. But it's not here. But man, I have a feeling this game is just gonna be. It's gonna be the game. That game. You know that game. That game. It's gonna be that game. That didn't make any sense. All right, everybody. I literally just came on here. I literally just wanted to talk about Starfield. Do a little bit before we go. We're going to get into this game tonight. So I'm not going to be here forever. I'm just here to tell you guys and gals and non-binaries and demigods, this is going to be fun. I'll be back again tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay? 8 p.m. Eastern time is approximately 5 hours and 20 minutes from right now. Okay? So in approximately 5 hours and 20 minutes from right now, I will be back live streaming Starfield. Love it or hate it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Now, obviously, there's going to be some character creation that I'm going to get into, but you can change that. I believe you can change that throughout your gameplay. Yeah, so we'll see. I will be, from now until, game time, I will be looking at tips and tricks, because I don't want to go into this game completely blind, where I spend 4 hours just customizing my character and then learning this. I want to be able to boom, 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 boom. Let's play Starfield. And then we will, yes, of course, have a conversation about aliens. Let me finish off with what's been talked about in Discord today. We talked about people are talking about the Sean Kirkpatrick's, I'm sorry, the Aero, Department of Aero. What is this? Cool. Department of Aero releasing some kind of finally a website on Aero UAP website to be announced by Pentagon on Thursday. That's actually today, I think, isn't it? Yeah, that's today. You know what? Judge me. Aero's activities. Sorry, this site will host Aero's activities, including photos, videos, and other media of UAP cases as they are declassified and approved for public release. We're gonna see whether this is gonna be anything or not. Like, is this gonna be worth it? Are we gonna get like they're trying to do a MUFON style investigation, but like from the DoD's perspective. $100 says they put blurry Bigfoot photos in there, just to throw us off a little bit. $100. There's gonna be a blurry Bigfoot photo, and he's gonna be literally, I'm not kidding, like someone saddles a horse. Bigfoot's going to be saddling a UFO with the rope, with the whatever those things called, where whatever that thing is on a horse, they're going to be saddling that thing, and he's going to be literally waving with a cowboy hat. That's going to be the Aero's best photo for UFOs, guaranteed. I bet. I'm just going to call it out right now. That's what's going to be there. And I think that most people in the UFO community deserve to see nothing but blurry Bigfoot photos for the rest of their lives. You deserve it. If some of us here, not here, some of us in the UFO community, some of us, because I'm part of that, only deserve to see blurry Bigfoot photos for the rest of your natural life. Riding a UFO in space with a space helmet and a cowboy hat, unaffected by propulsion and gravity. That's what some people deserve. Remember that time that Tom DeLonge said that this about governmental decision-making and the UFO phenomena? I believe that UFO information makes its way into every decision we make as a country. That's interesting. Government decisions are made by enormous amounts of information leading up to a few people, and those few people have to add together multiple scenarios that they believe may or may not happen. Based on that information, those people also know that there have been numerous crashes from a race that has been manipulating all sides against each other for quite a long period. They have to assume that the other countries are not considered the manipulations, are not considering the manipulations on the part of the others. I believe that UFO information makes its way into every decision we make as a country. Woo! I know y'all don't like that one. If you don't like that, let me send you a blurry Bigfoot photo. Hit me up in my DMs and I will send you the best blurry Bigfoot photo I've ever seen. Yeah. Peanut, what's up, Whiplash? Peanut, we're gonna be talking about Ra and Carla. Whatever that chick's name is. I can't remember her last name. Hold on. What is her name again? Carla. Ra and Carla. Let's see here. I'm getting there. I got her name here. Carla Ruckert, I believe. Ruckert. Her and her colleagues who've had contact with allegedly a bunch of alien or non-human intelligences. One of them was Ra, called themselves Ra, which is essentially a collective consciousness, a collective memory matrix or something like that. It's interesting. We'll talk about that next week, though. So brush up on your research. I'll hit y'all up with them details, with them deets. Wasabi. Lex. Wasabi. In the meantime, y'all, we'll be playing some Starfield later today. We will be playing some Starfield later today. Again, I hope you guys are here for that. If you want to be a part of it, great. If you don't, no problem. We'll be back to talking about philosophy and psychology and society and culture and civilization and all that stuff that we all love. You know what I'm saying? We'll be talking about all them things next week, starting Monday. Because this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, we're playing Starfield. Yeah. Hate it or love it, it's happening. Don't fight it. Just relax. Just relax. Calm down. Hey, just relax. Yeah. And enjoy the fun. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. If you're on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Show some support. If you would like to, please show some support by hitting that like button at the very least. I do have a GoFundMe if you guys want to support me and what I do here. But even at the very least, please consider smashing that like button, abduct that subscribe as we see on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel, to this YouTube channel as well. Support your boy. We out here talking about aliens, y'all. Today we're talking about Starfield. I'll catch y'all later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Doctor is out. Peace.